Good morning, everyone. I'd like to call to order our Tuesday, February 28th, 2023 Delaware County Council meeting. If everyone could stand for the pledge. Dan, would you like to start us off?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Mr. Flanagan.
Present.
Mr. Hughes.
Here.
Ms. Cantz.
Here.
Ms. Lassiter. Mr. Webb.
Here.
Mr. Whitehead.
Present.
Ms. Piper.
Here.
Mr. Freeman.
Here.
Ms. Patterson.
Yeah, yes.
All right. So just a friendly reminder, questions from the public may be directed to our county email, which is countycounseldist@co.delaware.in.us. Again, that's countycounseldist@co.delaware.in.us. Denise, was the agenda posted? All right, I'll entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Dan, second by Eugene. Roll call, please.
Mr. Flanagan.
Yes.
Mr. Hughes.
Yes.
Ms. Cantz.
Yes.
Mr. Webb.
Yes.
Ms. Lassiter. Mr. Whitehead.
Yes.
Ms. Piper.
Yes. All right, moving on. Approval of the January 24th council meetings. I'll entertain a motion to approve.
Make a motion. Second.
Is that you, Bill?
Yes.
All right, motion by Dan, second by Bill. Roll call, please.
Mr. Flanagan.
Yes.
Mr. Hughes.
Yes.
Mr. Cantz.
Yes.
Ms. Lassiter. Mr. Webb.
Yes.
Whitehead.
Yes.
Ms. Piper.
Yes. All right, moving on. We have a guest speaker today. Prosecutor Eric Hoffman is going to be discussing some concerns and questions and a request for the council. So I invited him to join us today. We put him at the beginning of the agenda because his schedule is very busy right now, so wanted to get him in and out. So Eric, take it away.
Thank you. I appreciate the time today, especially being put at the front of the agenda. My purpose here today is to give you sort of an overview of what I'll be asking for next month when I come in March. See a lot of new faces. For those who don't know me, my name is Eric Hoffman. I'm the prosecuting attorney. I brought my chief deputy here, Zach Craig. He's a chief deputy prosecutor. And in addition to giving you sort of the overview, answer any questions you might have. As you may know, in August of 2024, I emailed a letter to the council, or the members of the council at that time, to inform them of what I believe to be an impending financial emergency in the prosecutor's office. That July, the month prior, we had multiple homicides, one of which was a triple homicide. 3 people were killed in one episode of violence. And we saw a trend that has not stopped in that violent crime is and was surging. In 2018, we had 3 murders. In 2019, we had 1, which was somewhat of an aberration. In 2020, we had 8 murders. In 2021, we had 9. And in 2022, we had 11. And I don't see that slowing down for a number of reasons. Our resources are stretched so thin that we're at a tipping point. Without additional funding, I can no longer perform my constitutional duties as prosecuting attorney, which triggers some legal and statutory requirements of the county council. But at that time in August, I didn't have, I knew there was a problem, but I didn't have exact facts and figures. I also knew that the Indiana Prosecuting Attorneys Council was compiling a prosecutor staffing survey or study that was commissioned, and it was performed actually by Wagner, Irwin, and Scheel here in Muncie. So I was awaiting some of those things. So then in December of 2022, I sent a more lengthy letter to the council with a spreadsheet, again, reiterated how dire lack of funding is. And I outlined 3 areas. The first of which is litigation expenses. That is transcripts, police interviews, expert witness fees, and salary increases for retention of deputy prosecutors. Another issue that will come up is computer replacement. The budget that's been approved year after year for $6,000 for the prosecutor's office annually for computers, for 28 to 30 computers, is not really feasible. So we're doing the best we can with other funds, some discretionary funds and so on. But at some point that's going to need to be addressed. So first, just generally speaking with the litigation expenses, there are 3 line items that I discuss in the December letter: witness fees, legal services, and trial deposition transcripts. Because we have so many homicides and so many dealing resulting in death cases in Delaware County, the forensic pathologist who does all the autopsies never used to charge us. We never had this many murders. So she charges to do the autopsy, and that comes from the coroner, but then to consult with the prosecution, Zach or I or whoever trying the case, and to come into court, excuse me, and provide their expert testimony, which is required to prove a murder or a homicide. She is now charging consultation fees, mileage, and testimony fees, which is standard in the field. So that's a new expense as of last year, I believe. In the dealing resulting in death cases, we have to hire a forensic toxicologist. And Zach, where's he come from? Massachusetts. So we fly him here to testify about how fentanyl reacts and acts within a person's body and the lethality of that. And as you can tell from the Star Press reporting, those cases are going well. There's also been an uptick in psychiatric defenses. A lot of people are now claiming insanity and other mental related defenses to the charge, which will require the state to hire their own expert in the field of psychiatry or psychology to rebut the defense. Transcripts of videotape interviews with witnesses, the interviews that they give the police, we have to have those at trial. So when a witness gets on the stand and says, "I don't remember," or denies making a statement, you take the transcript up to him on the stand and say, "Look at page 22, line 12. Didn't you say this? Yes or no?" Without that, you can't do that. And their prior statement to the police is meaningless, and you probably won't get a conviction without it. And then the last line item is transcripts that are generated within the county by a county employee, meaning like a court reporter. Oftentimes we order transcripts when a jury is hung, can't make a decision, we have to retry the case. So you go back and get all the witnesses' testimony transcribed and get ready for the next trial. So those are what I call litigation expenses, and I propose the increase that I think is warranted and needed. For example, in witness fees, thus far, I mean, as of February 26th, we've used 25% of the witness fees. I did a murder trial 2 weeks ago, and so I anticipate about a $1,000, $1,200 bill coming in from that. Again, we're just coming out of February. And that triple homicide I referenced earlier is probably going to go to trial this summer, which will be there'll be some huge bills in that case. Additional staff, I just want to touch briefly on this. Again, that IPAC commission study. Delaware County is the 16th most populated county out of Indiana. Indiana's 92 counties. However, we are the 9th most understaffed prosecutor's office out of the entire state. The 9th most understaffed prosecutor's office. We only have 49% of the attorneys needed to perform our jobs. And that is based upon the public defender's weighted caseload study, or weighted case caps, which has now become the gold standard among counties and the Indiana Supreme Court. And so what they did was they overlaid those case caps that the public defenders have with prosecutors' offices, and this is where they came up with the figures. So according to that study, we need 23 additional deputy prosecutors to meet the accepted public defender caseload requirements. That's a daunting number. In Delaware County, there are 23 deputy public defenders. They do not defend all the criminal matters in the county, only those who can't afford an attorney. A large portion of the defendants hire their own lawyers. especially on lower level offenses. And the public defenders, as I said, they have caseload caps. They can only have so many cases pending at a time. Conversely, we only have 10 deputy prosecutors, and we are tasked with prosecuting all the criminal cases and infractions in the county, as well as other legal duties. So while the prosecuting attorney's office handles every criminal and infraction case in the county, the public defender's office does not, yet they are exceedingly outstaffed us. We have no caseload caps. My felony deputy prosecutors carry anywhere from 300 to 650 felony cases each, working nights and weekends every week. And I've been here 20 years. And in the past 10 years, past 5 or 10 years, I've been wondering, why am I so tired all the time? Thought it was a health problem. Until I looked at the IPAC study, it's not. We are understaffed. Our staff should not have to take criminal casework home every night and work on it, and every weekend. And it's unpaid. And that's what's going on. And that's the exhaustion everybody in the prosecutor's office has. But at this time, I'm not here asking you for additional staff. There are several bills in the legislature right now, the state legislature, that are proposing to provide state paid deputies to the counties who need them the most. So there's several versions of those bills winding their way through the state house. So I just kind of want to see where that ends up. If they give us 2 state paid deputies, I'll be happy, as opposed to the 23. 2 would be fine with me. But if they don't give us any, I'll be back at budget time to ask for a couple deputy prosecutors. But I just kind of want to bring that on your radar. The final issue is salary increases for deputy prosecutors for retention purposes. Since October, 2 of our 10 deputy prosecutors resigned for greener pastures where they could make a better living. 1 left to do civil work. 1 left went to the Department of Child Services. Luckily, I was able to fill 1, but to date, 1 has not been able to be filled. I've not been able to find a qualified trial lawyer to take that spot, given the current salary. So Judge Fike in Circuit Court 4 has gone without a deputy prosecutor for months. There's not been a jury trial in there for months. Cases are backlogging. The current deputies rotate in and out of there to cover that court. Again, now they're doing a job of 2 people and not 1, all because I can't hire, or nobody wants a job for what it pays. Again, an emergency, in my opinion. You can go to DCS and make $10,000 more and not have to work on the weekends, not have to do jury trials, not have to be on call. The PD's office, they're part-time. The chief makes $99,166. The deputy public defenders, they're part-time. They make $50,000. Again, the important thing to remember is they're part-time. That means they maintain a lucrative law practice outside of that. So they can be making their $50,000 public defender money and then make $100,000 or $150,000 in private practice. Prosecutors can't do that, okay? Once you decide to be a full-time prosecutor or deputy prosecutor, you get your salary and that's it. I can't practice law outside of a criminal courtroom. Zach can't represent somebody in a divorce. My deputies can't go out and represent somebody in a landlord dispute. We're stuck to prosecuting crimes. So we must increase deputy prosecutor salaries to retain qualified, trained and experienced trial attorneys, or justice in Delaware County will come to a screeching halt. I don't say that lightly because I believe it to be true. If you don't have somebody trained and qualified to go into a criminal courtroom and try the case with the burden of proof beyond a reasonable doubt, you are going to lose. And a violent criminal will win. That is something we don't want. So my proposal was outlined in the December letter and in the spreadsheet that was attached to it. The long and the short of it is to bring the base salary up for each deputy prosecutor to $85,000, and then a $10,000 stipend, the amount varying depending upon their level of experience, their years of as an attorney, and their job performance. One of those deputy prosecutors, her her salary, because it involves child support collection, is 66% reimbursable by the federal government. But that's just one of them. And I included in the spreadsheet the financial proposal all outlined, including FICA and PERF. So all the numbers are there, and that's what will be on the agenda for next month. So with that, what questions do you have?
I'll go. Just so everyone's clear, you alluded to this in the beginning about this all happening after budget hearing. So for those who aren't familiar, all the department heads and elected officials, whoever, have to have their budgets turned into the auditor's office by July 1st every year. And so we typically get questions like, why wasn't this addressed during budget hearing? Well, it couldn't be because we had already submitted that to the state, what your budget was going to be at that time. We couldn't see that this was coming. And so last year, back in November, at the time, President Scott Alexander and Ron Quakenbush and I had started meeting with you to start working on this. So this isn't something like brand new. And I know I emailed all of the council, like every document we had from you leading up to that, so all the new folks would have an opportunity to read through it and get adjusted. So now's your time to ask all the questions.
If I may ask, thanks for coming in and addressing the council today. As you know, we met earlier the week, last week, and you went over some of the numbers, some of the concerns. I appreciate you guys making time to meet me that evening, and they stayed late. I'll give them, I think it was a late meeting, 6, 7 o'clock. So I guess in that meeting, I told you I was going to ask some questions because I feel like that's my job and my role. And some of the feedback that I feel like we're going to get with this situation. First, I want to address the increases to perform the duties of the prosecutor. I don't think anyone would have any issue with that. I know I personally don't have any issue with any of that whatsoever. I would agree to it and probably more. Where I would get hung up would be the salary increases, which is outside of the regular budget hearings when we ask all the department heads to submit their salary increases. And I went back and I looked at our book, and you guys did submit a salary increase. It went from $70,764 to $74,000, and we granted it. We didn't trim it. We didn't push back on that in any way. We could only give what is asked for. So I guess I want to give you an opportunity for those who are sitting out there wondering, well, if they asked for that amount and they're given that amount, then why are they coming back a couple months later saying that they can't work with that amount? Second thing is with the situation with your prosecutors, and I agree that number is ridiculous, and I hope you do come back and ask for a couple positions. I'd be happy to help assist with that. I know our sheriff went through something similar where they felt like that they were in a position where they couldn't do their job responsibilities and protect the public. Fortunately, they were able to scrape it together, and they come in budget time. We all work together hard as a council to come up with a plan that worked well for everyone. Not just the sheriff's department, but for all the county employees. And the reason why I'm bringing this up is because for so long, the county employees would receive a across the board raise. That from the feedback I got, everybody really didn't like that much. They wanted us to focus on individual departments. And we did that somewhat last year. And the reason people were against it, because they said, well, if you do that, everyone's going to come and say, I'm next. And now that's kind of where we're at. You're the first one coming. And we're kind of at a position where we have to set a precedent here. We got to cave in and you're the first person that comes and open the floodgates. Are we going to stand our ground and say, come see us at budget time? So I want to give you an opportunity to address that. And
Thank you. Long double parter compound question.
I tend to do that.
Objection, that was a compound question. Anyway, so the first question was about the raise last year. All that was the 5% that President Alexander asked every department head to submit, was the 5% inflation increase. So that wasn't a salary increase proposed by me. That was actually asked for by the council because of inflation. So we did that, and that was the 5%. At council time last year, a couple of things. I didn't know at that time what was going to happen in July, August, and September, and the surge in the violent crime. So I don't think it's responsible of me to come in at budget time and ask for some large number when I don't know that I need that. So to me, I need to ask for what we need, if that makes sense, and not just a large contrived number. I forgot the second part of that first question already.
Well, it's just to touch base on the fact that you're now dealing with some of the challenges that most people in the private sector and other government have dealt with, and that's filling a staff completely. And
Right.
you're just now encountering those challenges.
Right. And part of that is, we're talking about, and it's not for myself or Zach, it's for the actual deputy prosecutors. We're talking about attorneys. So these are folks who have been to 4 years, they have a 4-year undergraduate degree and a 3-year law degree and a license to practice law. So, Zach and I could leave today and go to Indianapolis and make 3 times what we make, hands down. I've tried over 100 felony trials in my career. I know I can make that. But we don't, because we like what we do. And the deputy prosecutors like what they do. The problem is they can't, the salary structure is just not competitive with anything. I looked at all the other counties that were hiring deputy prosecutors in the state, and we were well below by 10 or more thousand from every other county. We're talking small counties with like 40,000 people, counties that don't have murders. So it's not competitive at all. And I truly believe that the fact that so in 20 years under 4 prosecuting attorneys, I've never seen a deputy prosecutor slot go unfilled for more than a week. We've always been able to fill those right away. So this unfilled spot for Judge Fike's court is sort of a bellwether here. There's a problem, and the problem is they're underfunded because they can go get jobs at a law firm or another prosecutor's office or DCS or somewhere where they're not burned out, they're not overworked, but they'll get more pay. And so I don't think we can wait to answer your question until budget time, because if we do, I think there's a possibility we'll lose more. And if we lose one more deputy prosecuting attorney, that's going to be a 4-alarm emergency in Delaware County. We won't have the staff to try murder cases. We won't have the staff to investigate them. And so one of 2 things will happen. Either lower level crimes, if somebody steals from you or burglarizes your home, sorry, I don't have the people to prosecute that. I'm sorry for your loss. Or people who are the victims of violent crime are not going to see justice because there's not enough people in the office to prosecute. You got to remember that. So Delaware County is the catch-all for all criminal cases. So you have the Sheriff's Department, Muncie Police, Eaton Police, Gaston, every town, DNR cases. We get state police. The murder case I did was an ISP case. We get cases from the feds. So you have all these law enforcement agencies funneling in criminal cases, and we're bottlenecked now, okay? We have 10 deputy prosecutors. Think how many policemen there are in the county. How many state policemen, how many, and they all submit criminal cases to us. We only have 10 of us, or 12 if you include Zach and I, to do that. So waiting to me is not an option.
Thank you for explaining that. I appreciate what you guys and your staff do.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Eric, I might, a bit of an update. I attended the Chamber of Commerce legislative breakfast last Friday, and I asked the question about state funding for deputy prosecutors. The response was that's probably not going to happen this year. I'm sure you're not too surprised by that. Representative Prescott indicated that he would be co-sponsoring a bill for a summer study committee to look at not only deputy prosecutors, but also probation officers, all state mandated positions. He was hopeful that would happen and that perhaps something positive would come out of the study committee. The state at the moment, I think, in my opinion, has the resources to help with this problem. I don't think it's going to happen this year.
I looked at yesterday the bill authored by Representative Steuerwald, and historically speaking, his bills tend to get some legs in the General Assembly, and his bill has what would help us, we get one or two, I forget, state paid deputies. So I'm having my fingers crossed. We'll see, you know, it's like horse trading down there. So, don't take offense to that, General Assembly. But we'll see. Again, if the answer is no, I'm going to be back at budget time and ask for those deputies, because again, out of 92 counties, we are the 9th most understaffed. The work can't be done. And if you look at the law, there's a statute that says the county council shall fund the prosecuting attorney's office in an amount that I deem to be reasonable. I don't like to tout that around and wave it like a flag, like I'll take you to court and sue you, but I will. I don't feel that I ask for more than I need. You don't see me very often. I don't come up here and ask for much of anything. But this is this is a public safety emergency that I'm here to ask for.
I
Eric,
guess I'll have, oh, go ahead, Matt.
just a quick question on the stipend piece there, and kind of your thoughts around how that would get applied or not applied.
Sure. So in the spreadsheet, I listed the current staff of deputy prosecutors, and based upon their trial experience, their years of attorney, et cetera, what I believe them to be or what they should be. And none of them, there's only one, I think, or two that hit 6,000. None of them go all the way to 10,000. So it would be evaluated based upon who they are, and by that I mean, you know, how long have they been an attorney? How long have they been with the prosecutor's office? Are they a trial lawyer? How long do they spend in the courtroom? And performance-driven measures. So that's the proposed stipend, and it varies for each deputy prosecutor. One gets none, one gets 1,000, and like I said, two get 6,000. So I don't feel that that's unreasonable. We didn't go all the way up to the 10,000 mark there.
Is there any concern, I guess, relative to just it being performance-based, quote unquote, or kind of, you know, something that can be, you know, contrived as somebody's getting something and not the other person, or there's no guardrails between how much, you know, that stipend would be for, depending on those pieces you just talked about? I mean, it's at your discretion, obviously, it is the long and short of it, but do you see any potential challenges with that?
Well, I've discussed that issue with several people on the council. I think Bill and Jessica, and I think, quite candidly, I think there has to be there has to be trust with your prosecuting attorney. Okay, there has to be some level of trust there, and I you know, the county council doesn't want to micromanage departments. I've heard that before, and so you're going to have to have a leap of faith there that, you know, you're not in the county council's not in the courtroom. They don't know who's the trial lawyer, the so on and so forth. I'm the only one that would know that, so I don't know any other way around it. You know, given the way the government spends money, there's no way. I couldn't come up with any other way to fashion a base salary and then salary based upon performance, because there's not a rank in deputy prosecutors like there are in police departments. So that was the best way I could come up with, a way to do that.
I think you made the point that a brand new deputy prosecutor is going to make the same as a deputy prosecutor who's been there for 15 years.
That's right. That's thank you, Bill. And that goes back to when I started, actually. When I started 20 some years ago, for whatever reason, at that time, all the deputy prosecutors made different amounts of money, and then I started, and then we all made the same. So you could have somebody right now, as we sit here today, you could have somebody who's been an attorney for 15 years, excellent prosecuting attorney, excellent trial lawyer, and somebody come out of law school and make the exact amount of money that other person makes. And that it's just a huge disincentive. This would correct that. So you'd have a base salary and then a tier depending upon your experience and performance.
Do you know the percentage increase of the base salary you're proposing from what it is now?
It's about, in the base salary,
Yes, sir.
it'd be about, I don't have a percentage, but it's about $10,698 apiece.
Okay.
For a total of $101,980
Just for
without
the,
FICA and PERF.
for the record, that's $10,000 increase from today, not
Today.
January 1st, because they just received a $4,000 increase last month. So it'll be $14,000 increase from last year.
You're talking about the 5%?
Yes, sir. Pay increase.
Right. Yes, that was the 5% that the council asked to, for inflation.
Thank you.
I mean, if you think about it, you know, you have the Zach and I are state paid. We have the state prosecuting attorney and chief deputy. If the deputy prosecutors aren't paid enough and they quit, he and I cannot prosecute the 35,000 criminal cases that are pending in Delaware County. It can't happen. So something's got to give, and there is that statute that says the county council shall appropriate. The prosecutor's office is much different than other county offices in that the statute is rather clear what the duties are, and that's why I'm here.
I guess I just wanted to make sure I said this out loud too. I talked about the budget process with July 1st, and then the budgets come before us. Typically, we work on those the Wednesday after Labor Day, and we start in on the whole budget process. But the other part that I left out earlier is that whatever a department submits, we cannot exceed that ask. So once you, let's say you bring, we're just gonna pick around number 200,000, was not that, but like, let's say you bring that in and you now want, you know, more, we can't do that. So
During budget season.
during budget season, yep. So that's another reason this is coming before us
Right.
now versus then.
Right. Thank you.
And then having a lot of new faces up on the council kind of slowed some things down for us a little bit as well to make sure we got everyone up to speed. So I do appreciate you taking time out of your day to speak to all of us. So
Thanks for having us to kind of give this the overview, and thanks for having me here at the top of the agenda, because Zach and I have a meeting to go to after this.
You make sure and send Ed the letters that you
Yes.
sent to Steve.
Yes. Yes, I'll do that. I'll send Ed the 2 letters in the spreadsheet.
Thank you so much.
You need it too?
Yeah.
Okay. I'll send it to both of you.
all right, last chance for questions.
Can I have the,
Sure, go ahead, Donna.
would you send me that spreadsheet? I got some ideas
Yes.
in my mind before I leave.
The spreadsheet and letters, or
It's spreadsheet.
just spreadsheet? Okay. Will do.
I think we did encourage you to meet with Donna and look at sources of funding, not just general fund. So that if you could have that in mind when you submit your proposal.
I don't know what's open in Lowett, but it's called the lit now, I guess. To me, that's a public safety tax. And if there's funds there, I think that's where it should come from, as opposed to county general, because this is a public safety issue. So I was going to come sit down with Donna, but again, I had a week-long murder trial and it just didn't happen. So,
Yeah, if you could just send me that spreadsheet, because I've got a few things running around in my mind and I'd like to help with this before I leave, so.
thank you. I'll send that to you today.
Thanks.
All right, last chance. Going once, going twice. All right, thank you, Eric.
Thank you very much.
Kaufman?
Thanks
Have a
for
great
coming
day.
in.
You too.
Thank you.
All right, moving on to our transfers and appropriations. We'll start with transfers. I will just go ahead and say that during finance meeting, there were no questions. Everything looked pretty good. It was all a lot of this was backfilling employees who had left. So we'll start with the clerk's office, Tanya.
Okay, Clerk 125 under County General, we have A111, Deputy Clerk, negative 27,807.40. B111, Deputy Clerk, positive 27,807.40, for a total of 0.
Motion to approve. Second?
Motion by Eugene, second by Dan. Any questions?
Yes, I'd like to ask Mr. Spangler, is this just replacing your deputy clerk, or was this the?
Yeah, we took a person that was in-house and put them into the new position you gave me last month in the election room. And so we're backfilling this position. So anything new, we're just going to be looking for a new employee to fill where we took one out of.
Awesome. Real quick, I just wanted to say, so I don't have to ask each and every person, when the dollar amount is said and then it's the exact same dollar amount and it equals zero, just for the general public, that's typically one employee leaving and a new employee being rehired. So if I don't ask those questions on each of the follow-up, I figured we'd just get that out there now, nice and early. Thank you.
Any further questions? Everything on the transfer agenda was favorable from the finance committee. You're welcome. Yeah, it was mostly backfilling employees who had left. So roll call, please.
Mr. Flanagan.
Yes.
Mr. Hughes.
Yes.
Mr. Cantz.
Yes.
Mr. Laster. Mr. Webb.
Yes.
Whitehead.
Yes.
Piper.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, moving on.
Communications, 124. We have B, 101, communication tech, negative $34,019.35. C, 101, communication tech, positive $34,019.35. E, 132, communication tech, negative $33,846.16. C, 132, communication tech, positive $33,846.16. H, 109, communication tech, negative $34,615.39. I, 109, communication tech, positive $34,615.39 for a total of zero.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion by Ryan, second. Was that you, Eugene?
Yes.
Eugene? Any questions? Roll call, please.
Mr. Flanagan.
Yes.
Mr. Hughes.
Yes.
Mr. Cantz.
Yes.
Mr. Laster. Mr. Webb.
Yes.
Mr. Whitehead.
Yes.
Ms. Piper.
Yes. All right, moving on.
Jail, 145. You have H, 140, correctional officer, negative $30,152. I, 140, correctional officer, positive $30,152, total zero.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion by Ryan, second by Dan. Any questions? All right, roll call, please.
Mr. Flanagan.
Yes.
Mr. Hughes.
Yes.
Mr. Cantz.
Yes.
Ms. Laster. Mr. Webb.
Yes.
Mr. Whitehead.
Yes.
Ms. Piper.
Yes. All right, on to treasurer.
Just one, that's good.
Okay, treasurer, 127. We have D, 107, assistant cashier number 2, negative $27,509.40. E, 107, assistant cashier number 2, positive $27,509.40 for a total of zero.
Motion to approve. Second.
Motion by Dan, second by Eugene. Any questions? Roll call, please.
Mr. Flanagan.
Yes.
Mr. Hughes.
Yes.
Mr. Cantz.
Yes.
Laster. Mr. Webb.
Yes.
Mr. Whitehead.
Yes.
Ms. Piper.
Yes.
Thank you, guys.
Welcome, Mr. Pope.
All right, now we're out of county general funds. Moving on.
Okay, under other, we have DOC grant 9320. Line A, 109, positive $28,067.34. 109, negative $28,067.34. 105, negative $1,800. 111, positive $1,800. Total zero.
Motion to approve. Second.
Motion by Eugene, second by Dan. Any questions? Roll call, please.
Mr. Flanagan.
Yes.
Mr. Hughes.
Yes.
Mr. Cantz.
Yes.
Ms. Laster. Mr. Webb.
Yes.
Mr. Whitehead.
Yes.
Ms. Piper.
Yes. All right, moving on.
Supreme Court grant 8108. We have line 393, travel and training for negative 5,680. 396, drug screens, positive 4,680. 395, client incentives, positive 1,000 for a total of zero.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion by Ryan. I heard Dan as my second. Any questions?
I do have a quick question
Yeah,
with
go
this.
ahead.
I'm not sure who I should be addressing there. Okay. Could you just, for the record, explain what the incentives are? It's only $1,000, but just so people are aware of it.
Hi, Elizabeth Batt from Community Corrections. The incentives program,
Yeah, the client incentives.
they help pay for treatment funding if they need it, and they also buy like gift cards, hygiene needs, like shampoo, soap, stuff like that, and send it with them to treatment. It's for people that are trying to do better.
Okay, thank you for clarifying that.
Any more questions? Right, hearing none, roll call, please.
Mr. Flanagan.
Yes.
Mr. Hughes.
Yes.
Mr. Cantz.
Yes.
Ms. Laster. Mr. Webb.
Yes.
Mr. Wyatt.
Yes.
Ms. Piper.
Yes. All right, moving on.
Health Department, 1159. Environment Health Specialist, C111, negative $41,016.14. Environmental Health Specialist, D111, positive $41,016.14 for a total of 0.
Move to approve.
Second.
I'm gonna give that one to Eugene. So motion by Ryan, second with Eugene. Any questions?
Jamie, I think you said this is a position that's been open for a while.
The position was vacated on January 6th.
Oh, okay.
We had a previous opening that was filled January 2nd, and then a new opening January 6th.
Thank you.
Any additional questions for Jamie? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Mr. Flanagan.
Yes.
Mr. Hughes.
Yes.
Mr. Cantz.
Yes.
Ms. Laster. Mr. Webb.
Yes.
Mr. Wyatt.
Yes.
Ms. Piper.
Yes. All right, moving on.
Jail Lowit, 1170, Department 145. We have C108, Correctional Officer, negative $34,115.44. D108, Correctional Officer, positive $34,115.44 for a total of 0.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion by Ryan, second by Eugene. Any questions?
I would like to say something, just not really a question. I noticed here that I just want to give a kudos to you guys and then the jail staff. I know in the months past, we've had multiple employees being rehired. From my best guess here, it looks like it's only been 2 this time. So I just wanted to say that's a dramatic change from the years past. So great job to you, your staff, and sheriff, and everybody else. Thank you.
All right. We do roll call on that yet?
No.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Flanagan.
Yes.
Mr. Hughes.
Yes.
Mr. Cantz.
Yes.
Ms. Laster. Mr. Webb.
Yes.
Mr. Wyatt.
Yes.
Ms. Piper.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
you.
All right, moving on.
Prosecutor Lit, 1170, Department 137. We have A106, Investigator for negative $3,846.14. A181, Grant Administrator, positive $3,846.14. 117, Investigator, negative $3,846.14. A180, Grant Administrator, positive $3,846.14. A116, Receptionist, negative $26,926.03. B116, Receptionist, positive $26,926.03. Total transfer 0.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All right, motion by Dan, second by Cantz. Matt, excuse me.
Yeah,
Any
sorry.
questions?
I have a quick
Yeah.
question.
Sure.
Is do you have 2 grant administrators?
We do, yes.
And their role is strictly to write grants to assist the
We
prosecutor's
have one
office?
grant that they are both working on. So they help each other take care of that grant. And the reason we're separating this out at budget time, it was all included in their salary. So I'm trying to separate their salary from the grant stipend.
Okay. I know having a good grant writer can be a huge difference in local government. So looks like we got 2, so even better. Thank you.
All right, roll call, please.
Mr. Flanagan.
Yes.
Mr. Hughes.
Yes.
Mr. Cantz.
Yes.
Ms. Laster. Mr. Webb.
Yes.
Mr. Wyatt.
Yes.
Ms. Piper.
Yes. Moving on. Other addendum here, is this what this is? No, this is our, yeah. Did we get this twice?
Looks like it.
Okay. Cool. All right, well then, now we're moving over to our appropriations, starting with the assessor. And this is all out of, not county general, these are all individual funds.
Okay, under assessor reassessment, Fund 1224, we have 199 longevity, positive $100, 176 life insurance, $18, 111 health insurance, $27, 323 mileage, $100, for a total of a positive $245.
Move to approve.
Second. Go ahead.
Motion by Ryan, second by Eugene. Any questions?
I do have one quick question for the assessor. Was this something that was missed and caught later?
Yes.
Is that why it wasn't in the
Yeah, I was
budget?
notified by the auditor's office that there was going to be a shortfall in these line items.
Okay, thank you for clarifying.
All right, any further questions? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Mr. Flanagan.
Yes.
Mr. Hughes.
Yes.
Mr. Cantz.
Yes.
Ms. Lassiter. Mr. Webb.
Yes.
Mr. Wyatt.
Yes.
Ms. Piper.
Yes. All right, moving on.
Comprehensive Plan, 1180, 239. First line, we have 310 professional services, positive 153,000, 323 travel, 3,000, 331 printing, 3,000, 391 dues and subscriptions, 3,000, 393 schooling, 5,000, 395 public meetings, $500, 441 computer equipment, $5,000, for a total of $172,500.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion by Ryan, second by Eugene. Any questions?
I would like to just ask to clarify for the record exactly what the professional services are.
Sure. So those are when we have projects that we're doing, like last year, we used that to fund our new comp plan that was written. If we have grad students, sometimes we would use the funds for that. I'm just off of the top of my head trying to remember. Those are the only two big ones I can think of right now. Like the comp plan that we did last year, that was $250,000. So that's just where those come from.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any further questions?
And I had some incomplete notes, I think, from our finance meeting, but this is just allocating money from that plan to pay the bills, right?
Correct. This is the normal appropriations that we would have done in January that we just hadn't gotten to.
Yeah, okay.
All right, roll call, please.
Mr. Flanagan.
Yes.
Mr. Hughes.
Yes.
Mr. Cantz.
Yes.
Ms. Lassiter. Mr. Webb.
Yes.
Mr. Wyatt.
Yes.
Ms. Piper.
Yes. All right, moving on.
EMS capital improvements, 4910. 443 repeater transmitter Motorola, positive $16,473, for a total of the same $16,473.
Motion to approve. Second.
Motion by Dan, second by Eugene. Any questions? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Mr. Flanagan.
Yes.
Mr. Hughes.
Yes.
Mr. Cantz.
Yes.
Ms. Lassiter. Mr. Webb.
Yes.
Mr. Wyatt.
Yes.
Piper.
Yes. All right, moving on.
GIS map fund, 1150. 241 computer support, 22,880. 310 professional services, 75,000. 323 travel, 5,000. 331 printing, 5,500. 393 schooling, 5,000. 391 dues and subscriptions, 2,000. 441 computer/GIS equipment, 5,000, for a total of $120,380.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion by Ryan, second by Eugene. Any questions?
I was just going to note that for each of these funds, we have a report that shows that the funds are available. But in this particular case, you will be reducing your cash balance in that particular fund.
Right.
That's why I have.
Yes, Donna's very good about making sure, or Tanya now getting us the document that shows us what the balances are for these funds. So thank you, Auditor's Office.
Mr. Johnson, if you could tell us what the professional services are going towards, please.
Yeah, so we pay our aerial photography out of that, that line item. So we're actually getting aerial photography this year. So that's where that comes out of. And then we'll work to get that reimbursed through the Plan Commission.
All right, any further questions? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Mr. Flanagan.
Yes.
Mr. Hughes.
Yes.
Mr. Cantz.
Yes.
Ms. Lassiter.
Yes.
Mr. Webb.
Yes.
Mr. Wyatt.
Yes.
Ms. Piper.
Yes.
As a reminder, will everyone state your name and the department when you speak?
Guess it'll make Denise's job a lot easier as she takes our minutes, so thank you for that call out. All right, moving on.
Okay, this is actually local health maintenance, which is within the health department, but the fund is local health maintenance, 1168. And line 110, permit assistant, $510. 111, permit assistant, $510. Director of environmental, 113 is $500 for a total of $1,520.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion by Ryan, second by Eugene. Any questions?
Get a little explanation on this, please. Yeah. Excuse me. Jamie Bain, Delaware County Health Department Administrator. These are, so as you guys know, we have to submit budgets to the auditor's office by July 1st. These particular grants that we work with are not due until October. So I'm basically giving a projection of what we will be applying for and what we will be approved for in advance. There was a typo basically on those numbers, my miscalculation. They should have been a higher salary on each of those. On each of the two permit assistant ones, the environmental director is simply an increase in their salary for extra duties that they take on. For anyone that doesn't know, our health department does not have actual salaries for our division lead, like our nursing director and our environmental director. So they technically get paid the same as their coworkers. In some cases, they actually get paid less than their coworkers. So without that increase for environmental health director, he actually gets paid less than one of the people that's under him.
Any additional questions? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Mr. Flanagan.
Yes.
Mr. Hughes.
Yes.
Mr. Cantz.
Yes.
Ms. Lassiter. Mr. Webb.
Yes.
Mr. Whitehead.
Yes.
Ms. Piper.
Yes. All right, moving on.
High-Tech Crimes Unit, Ball Brothers, 9214. We did have a change on this that some of you may or may not have. We're starting with line 393, training will be $7,062.24. We have another line of 441, forensic software for a positive $10,400. And the total amount stays the same as presented, which was $17,462.24.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion by Ryan, second by Dan. Any questions?
This is the balance of that grant, is that correct?
Yes, Chuck Zimmer's director for the High-Tech Crimes Unit. Yeah, that was what was left. It's a 2-year grant, so at the,
I think you indicated that you will be applying for an additional grant from Ball Brothers.
we've already done that, yes, sir.
Great, thank you.
All right, any additional questions? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Mr. Flanagan.
Yes.
Mr. Hughes.
Yes.
Mr. Cantz.
Yes.
Ms. Lassiter. Mr. Webb.
Yes.
Mr. Whitehead.
Yes.
Piper.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, moving on.
Project income, 2501. Director of Education, 142, $5,077. And peer recovery coach, 138, $32,500 for a total of $37,577.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Ryan, second by Eugene. Any questions? All right, hearing none, roll call, please.
Mr. Flanagan.
Yes.
Mr. Hughes.
Yes.
Mr. Cantz.
Yes.
Ms. Lassiter. Mr. Webb.
Yes.
Mr. Whitehead.
Yes.
Ms. Piper.
Yes. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, moving on.
Sales Disclosure Fund, 1131. 300 BPP Postcard Printing, $1,000. 212 Form 2 Printing, $16,900. 393 Schooling and Conference, $1,500. 392 Dues and Subscriptions, $750, for a total of $20,150.
Move to approve.
Second. Go ahead.
Motion by Ryan, second by Eugene. Any questions?
Yes,
Yeah,
quickly. Go ahead, Mr. Cantz.
Well, I was just gonna ask if somebody could just, I didn't take notes on this one for some reason. What this is for and what that fund is actually for, if somebody can explain that too, because I had a question on it and I couldn't answer it.
Okay, Mr. Cantz, the James Carmichael County Assessor. The sales disclosure form is for computing, hardware, software, printing, and training.
Okay.
That's it.
That actually was what I was going to ask as well. So you
Okay,
answered
very
both
good.
questions.
So if you see
That makes it real
BPP,
simple.
So on 300 there, BPP means business personal property. So every year we give notice of that's due and you need to file by a certain date. And we have upcoming Form 11 printing, which is the notice of assessment, which will be going out end of April. And just the annual conferences and dues that we have to pay.
Thank you.
All right, any further questions? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Mr. Flanagan.
Yes.
Mr. Hughes.
Yes.
Mr. Cantz.
Yes.
Ms. Lassiter. Mr. Webb.
Yes.
Mr. Whitehead.
Yes.
Ms. Piper.
Yes. All right, moving on.
Surveyor Cornerstone Perpetuation, 1202. Line 311, Professional Services, $30,000, for a total of $30,000.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion by Ryan, second by Eugene. Any questions?
Tom, will this cover the whole year?
I assume so, like, it's when I can get.
Give your name, I'm sorry.
Tom Borchers, Delaware County Surveyor. What this fund is for is to locate and maintain the cornerstones throughout the county. So if you get a survey, they always reference a cornerstone, and this is to make sure that they're there for references and in the right spot. So what I always do at the beginning of the year is I just put out a number, because especially the last few years through COVID, the local surveyors, land surveyors have been really busy. So in order for me to pay them, I have to appropriate it out first, and I never know how many they're gonna do for me. Depends on how busy they are. We try to set a certain amount, but I want the funds available to pay them when the bills come in, and this is how I'm supposed to do it, so.
Okay, thanks.
Any other questions?
All right, hearing none, roll call, please.
Mr. Flanagan.
Yes.
Mr. Hughes.
Yes.
Mr. Cantz.
Yes.
Ms. Lassiter. Mr. Webb.
Yes.
Mr. Whitehead.
Yes.
Ms. Piper.
Yes. All right, moving on.
Thank you, guys. Have a good day.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye,
you,
Tom.
Unsafe Building Fund, 1207. 310 Recording Fees, $100. 364 Unsafe Buildings, $43,171.67. Total, $43,271.67.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Ryan, second by Eugene. Any questions?
I do.
Yep.
Could you state for the record, if you're aware, can you give the public an idea of about how many unsafe buildings that $43,000 can take care of?
Sure. So Brandy Ingerman, Plan Commission. I know that right now the building commissioner has 3 homes that are kind of on his radar. They're getting close to the point where we can do something about it. I don't know that that $40,000 will cover all 3 of those homes. It depends on the extent of the damage to the property, how much debris is left on the property. What we do is, if it gets to that point, we take bids in, private sealed bids, I should say, and then just go from there. So I can't say that $43,000 would take care of all 3 of those homes, but we do the best we can.
Okay, thank you for clarifying that.
Thank you. Mhm.
All right, any further questions? All right, hearing none, roll call, please.
Mr. Flanagan.
Yes.
Mr. Hughes.
Yes.
Mr. Mr. Cantz,
Yes.
Ms. Lassiter, Mr. Webb,
Yes.
Mr. Whitehead,
Yes.
Ms. Piper.
Yes. All right, someone want to make the magic motion here?
Ms. Piper?
Oh,
if
yes.
I'm sorry.
Sure.
I got swept up in the excitement. When we were talking about the comp plan, I know last week we had discussed maybe bringing to the council, talking about Ms. Moody's position.
Yes, and that we'll have an opportunity down here to elected officials and department heads. So I know Shannon's here and Alan's here, so we'll make
Perfect.
sure
I'm not sure how
I
this
have it written
works,
down
so-
too, so I won't miss
Okay,
it. So
thank you.
you're very welcome. All right, now back to the magic motion. Would someone like to make that for me?
Motion to approve financial transfers and to amend salary ordinance with like reductions.
Second.
All right, motion by Eugene, second by Dan. Roll call, please.
Mr. Flanagan,
Yes.
Mr. Hughes.
Yes.
Mr. Cantz,
Yes.
Ms. Lassiter, Mr. Webb,
Yes.
Mr. Whitehead,
Yes.
Ms. Piper.
Yes. All right, moving on, we had received, all of council had received an email from Denise maybe a week or so ago, I feel like. And we do have a board appointment that's going to be opening up at the Yorktown Library. We received a letter from the director of the library, Miss Liz Rozelle, that states, "The Delaware County Council appointed Samantha Taylor to the Yorktown Public Library Board of Trustees in 2015 and again in 2019. Her current term will end on March 31st, 2023. Ms. Taylor has expressed a desire to serve another 4-year term on the library board. She has served as the board president for the last 7 years and was reelected to the position this month. The final decision is, of course, up to the county council. Please make your recommendation and complete the top portion of attached certificate, yada, yada." So that's stuff for Denise. But I don't know if you all know Samantha, but she's been a great leader at the Yorktown Library. If you've driven by on Kilgore through Yorktown, you can see that there's been significant improvement to that library. Oh,
Smith Street.
Smith Street, excuse me. I'm not from Yorktown, clearly. I'm a Delta girl. But anyways, there's been a ton of improvement, and I don't know, Dan, if you can speak to anything, having experience with Yorktown. But this is an opening, and if it's the pleasure of the council, I would entertain a motion to retain her on that board.
So moved.
Second.
Is she the only?
She's the only one that
The
applied
only
for it
in-
that I know.
Well,
Yeah, and we
show
have to have
interest.
someone from Yorktown, right? So there's a lot of things. She's been great. She has come before us in the past.
Sure.
You may have met her
I think
at
I
some
have,
point.
and obviously, everyone knows my position. I don't like appointing the same people over and over, but if we don't have anyone else, and she's doing a great job, then
Yeah.
it is what it is.
All right, so we have a motion from Dan, a second by Eugene. Roll call, please, on reappointing Samantha Taylor to the Yorktown Public Library Board.
Mr. Flanagan,
Yes.
Mr. Hughes,
Yes.
Ms. Cantz,
Yes.
Ms. Lassiter, Mr. Webb,
Yes.
Mr. Whitehead,
Yes.
Ms. Piper.
Yes. All right, do we have any committee reports? I believe we do. From Bill?
I do. I've couple of items regarding the Tax Abatement Committee. Josh Perkins and I are the two new members of that committee. We met about 2 weeks ago with Brad Bookout and Bill Walters. It was really kind of an orientation for us. Brad went through the tax abatement process and reviewed some of the recent abatements that the council had granted, and emphasized the importance of making sure that those abatements are revenue positive to the county, which is something we appreciated. Brad asked me to pass along that he is available to meet with any of the members of the council that would like to have that same opportunity to learn more about the process, with the goal of making sure the council has complete information when a proposed abatement comes before us. Secondly, I had raised a while ago my concern that the council does not have written rules of procedure. I think any organization I've ever dealt with, the corporation has bylaws or a constitution, and I think it's important to make sure that we are transparent with the public, that they know how we operate and under what rules we operate, not with the idea of restricting our freedom of operating, but making sure that we're not simply doing things on an ad hoc basis with no consideration to precedent. It really occurred to me in the fall when a department head was not here for a financial item, and notation, it was said that, well, if the department head is not here, the council won't consider it. That's not written down anywhere. That's a practice that has been enforced, but I think it would only be fair to office holders and department heads to see that in writing somewhere. So I had prepared a questionnaire I sent out yesterday to the members of the council. I have hard copies here because we'd like as much input as possible. It's people out here who have to come before us, and they may have some good ideas of how we can improve our operations. I also asked Jane Laster to work on this because she has the most institutional knowledge of any of us, and I think she will be very helpful. We have no time frame, but I would like us to kind of keep this in mind and see if we can come up with a set of written rules and procedures that everybody can agree on and that will help us in the future.
Any
That's my report.
questions?
Thank you, Mr. Hughes, for taking that on.
Yeah, agreed. And then Bill, did you clarify that you've kind of sent this out to everybody, I think even to department heads and such?
It didn't, that hasn't happened yet, but it's going to, I believe.
Oh, okay, all right, okay.
And as I said, I also have hard copies here for anyone who's interested.
And these aren't rule options, these are really just questions for feedback.
Exactly. I just want, the way I phrased it is I want people's thoughts. I want their ideas of how we can operate more efficiently and more effectively.
Yep. Great, thank you.
Anything else for Bill? Well, any other committee reports?
Just one,
Go
I'm
ahead.
sorry, one quick thing. This was sent out in a PDF form. It may be beneficial to maybe get it sent, this questionnaire out in a Word document so we can type right on it and send it back to him, just logistically.
I'll get some help on that. I sent it out on my phone and
Okay, all right.
I was lucky to get done what I got done.
All right, thanks, Bill.
It's a lot for the phone.
Right?
That's a lot.
All right, moving on to elected official and department heads. And we've got a packet from the sheriff, so he's making his way.
Good morning, Delaware County Sheriff Tony Skinner. Yeah, you should have a packet in front of you. This is the stuff that I usually present in January, and I told you last month that I would present it this month. So first page is meal costs for the jail. The top section is just for the last 6 months of last year. So from July 1st to December 31st, we served 180,837 meals in the jail. The total cost, including the food and the salaries and benefits for our cooks, was $289,000 and some change, and that averages $1.60 per meal. If you add the first 6 months of the year, the total meal cost was $1.56. So you can see it went up kind of, I wouldn't call it substantially, but it went up the last 6 months of the year. At the bottom of the page, just for a little historical perspective, you can see what the meal cost was for all 4 years of my first term. So it's went up 3 cents, 6 cents, 5 cents, 4 cents per year. I expect that trend to keep going. The second page, this would be the Ron Quickenbush addendum.
Tribute.
Yeah. So after my first year in office, Ron, he complained that rightfully so that the council had never been presented with any information about the sheriff's office pension. So I started gathering data, and for the last 3 years, I've presented this. Starting balance last year was 21,809,000. The ending balance at the end of the year was 17,942,000. So with the losses in the stock market and the amount of disbursements that we give out to all of our retirees, it was a negative 16, basically 16.7%. The stock market losses alone were about 11.3% if you take out the disbursements. And then it's got what the county council contributed, what our deputies contributed in their 3%, and then also what the sheriff's office contributed with paper service, the yearly distributions. And then one thing that Ron always wanted to know is how many fees we pay, what the amount is, so you can see what the fees are. So Baird is the company that we use in Indianapolis. They do our investments for us. They run the portfolio. McCready and Keene, they're the actuaries. So when somebody's ready to retire, they're the ones responsible for finding out what that deputy's highest 3 paid years are, and what how much they actually get for their pensions. And then Comerica Bank is the bank that actually sends the checks to all of the retirees. So everybody's got a little piece of the pie. And there again, a little historical perspective for 2020 and 2021, what the starting balance for the year was. And then obviously the starting balance for 22, you can see it up there. The next page is from the jail, how much we billed for housing out-of-county inmates last year. We housed for 5 counties in the year of 2022, Union County, Marion, Madison, Henry, and Vermilion. We also collected money from the state parole and from the State Department of Corrections. And for those of you who are new or might not know, we whenever a person is on parole from state prison and they reoffend and they're taken back into custody, we house in Delaware County for our county and for several other counties in East Central Indiana. So if a parolee gets a parole violation and they get taken into custody, say in, I don't know, Randolph County or Henry County or Jay County, just using those for example. I don't know that we take theirs, but in several other counties, they might come to Delaware County before they get sent back to prison. And we charge the state when we house those people. Usually we only house them for a period of up to about 2 weeks. So that's a temporary housing, but we do charge. And you can see that over the course of the year, we made $91,000 last year just from housing parole offenders. The Department of Corrections, that number comes once a person is convicted in court of a felony. Usually it's a level 6 or maybe a level 5. So a low-level felony, and they have to wait to go to prison. Sometimes it might be 2, 3, 4 months. So we're housing that person in our jail who should be in prison. So there again, we get to charge the state for housing those people. That rate is $37.50 per day. So last year in calendar year, we generated $848,090 by housing out-of-county inmates. That's pretty good. Pretty happy with that. The next page is just, actually the next 2 pages are just information only. The inmate report, this is a snapshot of the entire year. You see that the first column is the average number of inmates that we had during that month. The second column is the pretrial probation, and the third column is pretrial home detention. I can't stress this enough, how much of a benefit it is for us, for the communication that we have between the judges, the prosecutor, the courts, especially the adult probation department, community corrections, and the sheriff's office, because all of these are pretrial people. If we didn't have the programs that we have in place, all of those numbers would be sitting in our jail. So to me, those two columns right there are really, really important, and they benefit us a great deal because they're not in jail. They're home with an ankle bracelet on or something like that. So there again, just information. And the last page is training hours for our department. We had, I think we had four deputies at the police academy last year. So our training hours are really inflated because of those four people. The state of Indiana requires 24 hours of in-service training for certified police officers a year. Last year, we averaged 309 per person. And then our department also has 17 instructors who totaled 2,344 hours of instruction hours. And that averages to about 138 hours per instructor. So we are busy with training, as always, as you can see by those numbers. And we try to train our own people as much as we can because we have a limited training budget. But anybody have any questions about any of those 5 sheets?
I have one question.
Bring it.
What's the latest
Oh,
update?
yeah, so, yeah, I should have addressed that because I knew that was coming. Last week, I emailed back and forth, actually Lieutenant Dye and myself both emailed somebody from the Marshal Service answering a few follow-up questions that she had. I made a phone call to her yesterday and asked her to call me, but it was late in the day, so I didn't. I expected this process to be done last October, before the budget was final. And all I can tell you is I think we're right there. I still think we're right there on the doorstep. I'm going to try to call her again today to see what the delay is. I think really the only thing that we're hung up about at this point is the per diem, how much the U.S. Marshal Service is willing to pay us to house the federal inmates. At this point, I'm just ready to get them in. So I'm not going to give in to them, but I'm ready for some negotiation. So I think we're right there. But I know that I've said that for 4 months now. But we're closer. There again, we're closer than we've ever been. That's all I know.
All right, so my follow-up to that, in the meantime, are our numbers of out-of-county inmates holding pretty comparable to prior year at the same time? Or are
They're
we
not.
down,
They're
or-
down. I think we had 18 or 19 today. Last year, whenever Henry County built their jail and they took all their inmates back, we were housing anywhere from 40 to 60 of Henry County inmates, on a daily basis. So, losing those, we knew we would take a big hit. But the numbers are down.
Okay.
And that's why, I knew that was going to happen 2 years ago.
Right, we
That's
all
why I
knew.
wanted to go after the federal inmates, because there's so many jails being built in Indiana. There's so many that have just recently been done, and there's so many construction projects now that these out-of-county inmates they're going to go away. It's we know that was going to happen.
Sure.
Yeah.
I remember being at an AIC meeting, and it may have been 2016, well, 17 or 18, it was early on, and almost all 92 counties were having to potentially build new jail
Sure.
facilities. So it's all coming to fruition now, clearly.
I mean, we've been in ours 2 years. Henry County just went in theirs. Madison County's getting ready to build. Grant County's coming to our jail next week to do a tour. They're getting ready to build. I mean, it's everywhere.
Yeah, Tipton's building a new one I
Yep.
just saw, and Frankfurt, so lots of places are building.
Right.
All right, well,
Any other questions?
I have a quick one.
Go.
If I heard, am I understanding it right, that we're still negotiating the cost per day?
Yep.
Is that correct?
Yes.
How's the inmates?
Yes. We put in the number of $75 per day. That was in our initial packet. And she asked me twice last week, where'd you come up with that number? Where'd you come up with that number? So I told her where we came up with that number. The marshals in Indianapolis suggested that we use that. There's another county in Indiana that uses that. They love our close proximity to Indianapolis. We've got a fairly new jail. We've got a 24-hour nursing, nursing staff. I mean, we have a lot to offer that other jails don't. So we're just making the argument.
Okay.
Yeah.
any additional questions?
Just had a comment on the, I appreciate the report on the pension plan. Looking at the fees, that's like 0.7%. I think those are very reasonable fees from my experience.
I'm glad to hear you say that.
The other thing I would comment on, though, is there, as I'm sure you've heard before, this is a defined benefit plan. The trend in all types of industries, including government, is to go to defined contribution plans. You know, we're putting in a significant amount of money each year to keep this plan afloat. So I think over time, there should be consideration to evolving into a defined contribution plan, not taking away anything from anyone who's currently enrolled in this, but going, looking toward the future. Just my thought.
Bill, can you kind of explain what you mean by that?
Well, a defined benefit plan simply says that upon retirement, you're going to receive a certain fixed amount of money. And then it's up to the organization to fund that when the time comes. Defined contribution, you're going to have either be putting money in yourself, or your employer is going to be matching it or putting in some amount of money on your behalf. When you retire, then whatever you have in your account is going to be the basis for what your retirement benefit is. That's my simple explanation of it, I think.
Anything else for the sheriff? All right,
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, I guess Shannon, are you up next? And Alan?
Alan Wisely, President of the Plan Commission. So we're just here to talk with you guys about process that we're going through to fill Marta's position. So just the reality is, and I don't think this was a secret, that Marta was very, very underpaid. And with our comparable jurisdictions, we cannot hire a replacement at what we paid her. So she was making around 48,000, give or take. Our most comparable jurisdictions that do the combined city and county like we do are all above 70,000. And those are counties and cities smaller than us are 71, 72,000. Howard County, Kokomo is one of the closest ones. And so what we're looking to do is we're just looking to up that pay so it's more competitive, because I mean, what we're going to be looking for is for sure someone with a bachelor's degree, ideally someone with a graduate education in planning, because for a community that's this size, that's what we need. And we're not going to find another person like Marta who's willing to take a tiny salary for what they're worth just out of their devotion to the community. We're not going to find that again. And so we just have to work to make that more competitive. So the number that we've been looking at is raising it by about 20,000, which would put us at 68, 69,000, which again would be competitive with some of the other counties. So a couple different things that we've been looking into with that is, so I've spoken with the mayor. So with the way the Metropolitan Plan Commission is set up, the state statute says that the county is to provide the office space, the county is to provide the funding, the city has an optional contribution. In 57 years, the county has never asked the city for a contribution. So we went to the city and asked. And so have a commitment from the mayor for $20,000 in edit fund for this year's salary. And then Mr. Brook is working on drafting an interlocal agreement to go before the county and the city to have some of the ongoing funding shared by the city so that we can make that. Because I'm just not comfortable posting the position with the salary we have. Just the quality of applicants we could get is not what we want. And I mean, and just where we're at time-wise with what needs to be paid out to Marta's beneficiaries, we wouldn't be looking at until the middle of April to being able to hire anyways. That'd be the very, very earliest. And just another thing though, so like I said, we're looking for funding from the city, but then with the Plan Commission as it is right now, a significant portion of our budget is reimbursable 80/20. And so right now, the Plan Commission is putting back in about $184,000 into the budget just from reimbursement of what we're currently doing.
Anyone have any questions for?
I I have a, it's not really a question, I have a statement, and I agree. I've always thought Marta was far more valuable than what she was earning, so, just a suggestion, and I did sales a long time, and certain numbers psychologically make a big difference. I think we're gonna eliminate a large pool of candidates who are not even considering jobs under $70,000 for a meager $2,000 difference. I would increase it and make it 70,000, because I think you're gonna open the door to a lot more possibilities than you would at 68.
Yeah. Like I said, we would obviously, I mean, love to raise it more because some of our comparable jurisdictions, Anderson's is 6 figures for this position. Like I said, so 20,000 is the commitment that I have from the mayor in edit funds, which granted, and that won't be to cover a full year. So if we can get a higher number going forward, obviously that 20,000 goes farther because that 20,000 isn't going to be paid out over a whole year. But that's the minimum of what we're looking at. Like I said, just to be even starting to get competitive with some of the other counties. Because
So
right
Alan-
now,
Oh, sorry. Well, just a quick question on that. So from a timing standpoint, you said mid-April is probably the earliest somebody could be hired, but you could be recruiting currently, correct? Theoretically, if we had some of this worked out, correct?
yeah, so if we can get the salary, and then I'm looking at have the job description, which of course needs updated. I mean, this is the first new hire for this position since 1987. The job description's not that old, but the job description's 15 years old. So that does need updated. And we have appointed a hiring committee, which consists of, so the plan commission is made up of city and county appointees. The city actually appoints a majority, but so we have 2 city appointees, which are myself and Mr. Dishman, Jerry Dishman, who's the vice president. And then we have 2 county appointees on our hiring committee, which is Shannon Henry, commissioner, he's on the plan commission, and then Jim Fowler, who I don't know if any of you guys know him, but he's on the board of zoning. He's actually the president of the board of zoning appeals, and is a county appointee. And then our 5th member is our attorney, Mr. Murphy. So that's just where we're at with the process. But like
So
I
what's
said,
what's the plan then, Alan, in terms of like, I know that you mentioned the interlocal agreement, you talked to me about that. That's first, I guess, on the plan, right? To try to get something firmed up that can be presented to Muncie City Council, right?
correct. And hoping to have that to be able to present to them at their April meeting. Is the timeline we're looking at.
Right, we want to get that moving so they can get it on their budget for next year as well, so.
Correct.
And Shannon kind of talked to the finance committee briefly about this when we were there, and I would agree with him that, you know, I had a couple conversations with a couple Muncie City Council members just off the cuff. But anybody who's in touch with anybody on the Muncie City Council, I think we should be trying to, you know, kind of at least inform them, obviously this is coming, but also that, you know, this is a really important collaboration that I think is desperately overdue, obviously, to get done.
Yeah. And I mean, the reality is the county is currently saving the city hundreds of thousands of dollars by doing the Metropolitan, because prior to establishing the Metropolitan Plan Commission in 1965, 1966, the city and the county both maintained full planning departments, full planners. Obviously, the levels were different, but since that time, the city has been getting all the benefits of the planning, and like I said, actually appoints a majority of the board members, but has not been paying into it at all. But again, as you know, even if the city's paying the money, we still need you guys to change the salary.
Yeah, I'd like for that to be like an interlocal, like with the 911,
Yep,
obviously. Especially with
that's
them
exactly
receiving
what
the
we're
majority
doing.
of the benefit.
Yep, that's exactly what we're doing.
Hey, Bill, did you had mentioned that maybe there was our county is one of only a few doing it this way, or something to that effect, I think you mentioned?
The Metropolitan Plan Commission, we are the only one in the state. When the law was first enacted, it was enacted for us and for Vanderburgh County, Evansville, but they don't use it anymore. So we're the only Metropolitan Plan Commission type structure in the state.
Yeah, and the key difference with that has to do with the federal transportation dollars, which is the 80-20 reimbursement. Because like I said, these other communities that I'm talking about, like Kokomo and stuff, there are other places that do have a combined city and county planning department. They just don't also take on the Metropolitan Transportation Organization, which is, again, where all of our reimbursement funds come from. Because a lot of those organizations, if you go down to southern Indiana, are like 5-6 county organizations where we're doing it just us with us in the city.
And there was also some conversation about federal dollars potentially being at risk if this position is not in place or something to that effect. Is that accurate?
That I am not sure on.
Matt, I think the discussion was there's millions of dollars that come through that department through both state and federal, especially highway funds, and it's an important position to be filled.
Yeah, absolutely.
I would add, I agree with Ryan. Let's not go cheap on this. Our son is an urban planner, so I have some sense of salaries around the state. And even knowing that, Indiana is low compared to other states, compared to Ohio or Illinois. So I think to attract a quality candidate, we should be ambitious.
Any other questions?
When do we anticipate John will have an interlocal ready to share with the city?
Like I said, last I had heard, we were planning, and Shannon, you may know more than me on this, but last I had heard he was planning to have it to be able to introduce them at their April meeting.
That's correct. That's what we're working towards.
All right.
He's working on it.
Because their March meeting is Monday, so that's not doable. So we're looking at their April meeting.
I apologize if I didn't hear this. I was listening about how we shall house the department and all that stuff. Do we cover their benefits and such as well?
Yes.
Correct?
Mm-hmm.
Could we ask the city for more?
Like I said, I don't know that like I said, we can work out the amount in there. Like I said, the only place that 20,000 comes in is the mayor's contribution for edit money for this year.
Right.
Yeah, we need to take into that. I mean, that all has to be taken into account when that interlocal gets presented, I would assume, right? I mean, that's
right.
So, yeah. The unfortunate thing is, of course, the statute says the county has to pay for it. The city doesn't. So we don't want to ask them for too much either. And
Sure.
Because they can continue getting the benefit for nothing realistically.
Right.
After
Any additional
16.
questions for Alan or Shannon?
I'd like to do one more thing. I want to introduce our new administrative assistant, Sarah Hodges. Sarah, could you stand up, please? Sarah was
camera.
hired on the 16th and has been doing a great job since then. So she's been very busy. So introduce yourselves after the meeting if you get a chance, if you would, please.
Right.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Welcome.
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 All right, any other elected officials or department heads?
I would like to say something.
Yeah,
if I could,
sure.
Please. I got a couple things real quick, but first, so earlier on in the previous council, when we were doing the budgets, it was brought up about securing funding for the live streaming of the budget meetings. And at the time, we couldn't wrap it up. It was too short a notice. And it was one of those things that it was advised to consider it towards the beginning of the year, which is the time we're in now. And I don't know if people have noticed, but there's been some changes to the room. We've got some cameras all up, and there's going to be a little bit of a difference of how our meetings are live streamed here moving forward. So with that being said, that brought up the question, how are we going to do that as far as with the budget meetings in September? And I was speaking with President Piper, and I was asking if we could get it on the agenda as far as making a vote from the council. And I believe the commissioners generally fund the live streaming of all the commissioners' meetings, the council meetings. So I would like to request, if possible, if our attorney could make a formal request to the commissioners to see if they will fund our live streamed meeting for our budgets. And the reason I would like to make that request is because we need to know one way or the other. And so we can plan ahead if we need to make a vote, whether it be yes or no, if we're going to provide the, I don't know, 2,500, whatever it may be. Or maybe Shannon can speak to that. He's here right now, so.
I would ask that you try to find the funding for it.
Okay, I appreciate you clarifying that.
Yeah, I would ask, because those meetings are, how many hours?
The first day is typically around 13 hours. So it's and then depending, and they pop up out of nowhere the first 3 days, and then sometimes we have to have a couple afternoons here and there. So there's no set structure other than really that first day.
Yeah, so there'll be some money there involved, because you will have to have somebody in the audio-visual room running the system. So because of the breaks and everything, you're not going to want to keep those live for
Sure.
lunch or whatever. So I would just ask that the council look for that money if you could, please.
Okay, thank you for clarifying that.
Absolutely. We'll have monitors and such too, right, Shannon, coming up soon?
Yes,
So
there
we'll
should
be
be-
able to share.
Should be monitors. Are they in, Mark? Do you know?
One in the hallway.
Yeah. So we just, and the system, everything come in, but there was, correct me if I'm wrong here, there was a piece that wasn't quite working right, so. Okay, good deal. Thank you.
Thank
For the
you.
update.
So with that being said, obviously I'm not going to do it at this moment. I'll reach out privately and see if we can get that on the agenda for a vote, if we can secure that type of funding for the sake of transparency and take advantage of this new awesome equipment that we have. So the other thing I just wanted to mention, previous commissioners meeting, it was mentioned that there'd been some loosening of the restrictions, the ARP funding as far as what it can be spent on. And I talked with a couple of the commissioners and nobody's making any plans as far as changing, but there, as my understanding and feedback I've gotten is everything's on the table. All considerations are open. So I just wanted to make that note because a couple of people had asked me about it. And I just wanted to clarify I had reached out and nothing's changed as of yet, but everything is on the table. So I just wanted to clarify that. So thank you.
Then Mark, I'll get with you too to figure out an approximate amount of what that might cost based on how long we've met in the past. And then we'll work on that because there's, I mean, if we have the equipment here and we have the funds, then there's really no issue. So
And that's kind of why I wanted to get ahead of time, because if Mark's going to be doing it, he's got to clear his schedule. I know,
Right,
I know
we
he's
need him
got
for that too.
he's a big fan of going to California, so we want to make sure that he's here that week, that we can get him to do that for us. So
sure. All right. And then do we have any other elected officials or department heads? Seeing no movement. Denise, we had no one sign up for public comment, correct?
Correct.
And I see no comments on Facebook or to our county email. So with that, I'll entertain a motion. Oh, before we do that, next meeting is Tuesday, March 28th at 9 a.m. And now with that, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved. Second.
Motion by Dan, second by Eugene. Roll call, please.
Mr. Flanagan.
Yes.
Mr. Hughes.
Yes.
Mr. Cantz.
Yes.
Ms. Lassiter. Mr. Webb.
yes.
Go ahead.
Yes.
Ms. Piper.
Yes. All right. And we adjourn. Thank you, everyone. Have a great day.